Hello everyone. Thank you for stopping by my channel, Get Crafty with Sally. My name is Sally Poole and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Today is August 11th, 2023. Goodness, the summer is flying by. Today we're going to be making this pretty card. This is a simple card, so it's great for beginner card makers. So for this video, since this is such a pretty easy card, I think I'll go through the whole process of cutting the paper and all of that for those that are just getting into card making. So this, excuse me, designer series paper is out of the new mini catalog, September through December 2023. Customers should be getting this catalog in the mail within the next couple of weeks. The paper is from the Winter Meadow suite, which is on pages 36 through 38 in the catalog, and the paper is called Winter Meadow Designer Series paper. So let me show you what you're going to need to make this card. I have a piece of smoky slate cardstock. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, which is folded in half. A piece of basic black cardstock cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. A piece of basic white. This is just for the inside. It's cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then the piece of the beautiful designer series paper, it's cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches also. You will need a scrap of smoky slate and a scrap of basic white. We're going to stamp the sentiment on that. So let's get started with cutting our papers down. Let me grab my trimmer here. And this trimmer, this is a Stampin' Up! Trimmer, and it does have 2 blades on it. The dark one is a cutting blade, it's sharp. The lighter one is a scoring blade. It won't cut clear through your paper. It just makes a little line that makes it easier for you to fold things. So it gives you a nice straight crease to fold things, which is great when you're making fun fold cards and things like that. So let's take our 8.5 by 11 sheet of smoky slate, and I'm going to cut it at the top so you can see. I'm going to line this edge up at 5 1/2. Since this paper is 8.5 inches this way, if I cut it at 5 1/2, I can get 2 card bases from this one sheet of paper. So I've got it lined up at 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to run my blade up the paper, and there I've got my 2 pieces. And I like to, once I've cut these, I usually flip them over and take my bone folder and run it along that cut edge, because it does stick up a little bit, but that's just a little housekeeping thing for me. It's not something that you have to do. So next, let's take our piece of basic black 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock, and we are going to cut it at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Excuse me. So I'm going to cut the 5 3/8, the longer one, off the longer edge because I can get 2 pieces of the 4 1/8 if I do it that way. So let's go to our 5 3/8 mark, which is 2 little lines before 5 1/2. Give that a cut. And then we will go to our 4 1/8 mark and give that a cut. And then you've got this piece left to use at another time. And I have found that, I don't know what it is with this basic black cardstock, but when you cut it, you get little fuzzies on the edge. Some of the other darker cardstocks do the same thing, but pretty regularly it is on the black. So I like to turn it over and cut it from the back with my little snips, and you can just barely touch the edge of it and cut some of those little fuzzies off. Again, not something that you need to do, but it is a thing that I like to do. So let's grab our paper from, this is the Winter Meadow Designer Series paper pack. It's got some stunning stunning papers in it. And we'll pull out the piece that we need, which is the one that has the deer on it. And you can see that the image is printed on 2 ends of the cardstock. So if you actually just cut this, not quite in half, but I'll show you where we're going to cut it, and then you can cut it at 4 inches and 4 inches. You'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 card front panels out of this one sheet. So that's kind of fun. So we are going to cut this at 5 1/4. That's the tall side of the front of our card. So that's 5 1/4. You would do the same with this sheet, or not. Then you're going to have this little piece left to do something else with. So now let's cut these into 4-inch panels. And it's nice to cut them at 4 inches because then you get 3, which I'm sure this paper was meant to do that with. Okay, so that is pretty much the cutting that we need to do. So let's bring in a good piece of grid paper here. Let's grab one of our deer paper, Designer Series paper pieces. I'm going to cut some little fuzzies off my black because it'll drive me crazy. And I'm going to grab a tape runner and you could use any kind of adhesive. You could use glue. I think the best glue is the Tombow mono liquid glue. We all call it green glue. So I've got all of my edges taped. So now I'm going to attach this panel to the basic black panel. Try to line up all your edges and make sure they're even. Then I'm going to take my tape runner and put some more tape on the back of the basic black piece. I do have this piece that I already cut, scored, and folded, but I think I'll take one of the ones that we just cut. Here again, I'm going to flatten down that cut edge, and I'm just going to fold it over so that the edges meet. And I'm going to take my bone folder and give that a press so you get a nice crisp edge on your card. So now we can attach this panel to our card base. Once again, trying to get all the edges even. So now let's stamp our sentiment, and let's see, the sentiment that I'm using is from the Magical Meadow stamp set. May this season of sparkle bring joy and delight. I think it just looked pretty on this card. So we're going to grab our little piece of basic white scrap paper. I've got my stamp mounted on an acrylic block, and to do that, you just want to take your rubber stamp, lay it face down, and then press your block to it, and it'll pick it up. And I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This is a great ink for sentiments and also for stamping your images if you're going to color them with markers or Stampin' blends, anything like that. So we'll ink that stamp up, give it a press. There we've got our sentiment. And then you always want to clean your ink off of your stamp. A Stampin' scrub is great to do that with. I've been doing this for several years, and I just bought a Stampin' scrub not too long ago, and it's one of those things that I'm now wondering, how could I have gone so long without it? They're just great. Okay, so now that we've got our sentiment stamped, I am going to bring in my mini Stampin' cut and emboss machine, and we're going to cut the sentiment out with a die. And I am using a die from the, I am not very prepared, the Daisy set, and I can't quite remember the complete name of it yet. But I've got my sentiment here. I've used a little tape to stick my die down with after I've got it centered. I've got my plate number 1, plate number 2, and another plate number 2. We'll put it over the paper and the die, and we'll run that through our little machine. And then we'll just punch our sentiment out. So there's that. Now we also need to, I decided when I was putting this card together, when I put the sentiment on there, I thought, gosh, that's kind of hard to see it. It doesn't show up very well. So I decided to put a little edge behind it. So we'll grab our scrap of smoky slate, we're going to use that same die. This is kind of a fun little trick you can do with any of your shaped dies like this that you would use for sentiments. So we'll run that through. And you're probably thinking, why would you cut something out the same size as what you just did? Well, I'll show you. We'll bring our trimmer back in. I'm just going to set this right here at the bottom, kind of where the track is, and centered. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to cut that little piece in half. And then I am going to, we'll bring in our glue. I'm going to put just a little line of glue on the top of my sentiment piece. Get the top of my smoky slate die cut, and I'm going to lay this on there, give it a press, and then you can pick it up and straighten it, and you can move this depending on how big you want this edge to be. It's up to you. I don't make it too big. So let's put some glue on the bottom. So same process. I'm going to lay that down on the cut piece. Give it a press, pick it up, and straighten it if you need to. And I didn't need to, which is rare. So that's kind of cool, and it gives it a little definition, and it'll make it pop a little more when we put it on our card. So to attach it to the card, I am using some Stampin' Dimensionals. They are foam dots. They'll pop your image up a little bit off of the front of your card. So I'll put one there, one there. And a lot of times I cut these in half, and I always use the edges too. A lot of people throw those away, but gosh, it's all the same stuff, so don't throw it away. It all works. So I'm going to put just halves of one dimensional on the top and the bottom. Let me take there's little covers on here. Both sides of the dimensionals are sticky. So you pull these covers off and expose the sticky part. And then you just place the sentiment on your card front wherever you want it. And then the last thing we're going to do to this card is add some bling. So I am using the Rhinestone Basic Jewels today. And I'm going to take one of the small ones and put it on my sentiment. And I'm going to take a medium one and I'll put it down a little bit to the left. I'll take another small one and set it over here. I normally do these in 3s or an odd number. Sometimes I put 5 on a card. And they are self-adhesive. They will just stick. You don't need to put glue on them. So there's our card for today. What do you think of that? Pretty quick and easy. So I hope some of you beginning card makers out there will give this a try with this beautiful paper. Here's the other one that we started with. So you're going to have deer in 3 different directions. with that piece of paper. So I hope you'll give this a try. Thank you for stopping by my channel today and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. If you liked my video, please hit the like button, give me the thumbs up, share my video with your friends and family, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I do post a new video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Thank you.